I carried her books all semester hoping she would notice, but on the last day when she turned to thank someone, it was the new boy standing behind her, while I stood there with my empty hands and heavier heart. I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. 3 years ago, I was that guy who thought he deserved better than what he had. Now I'm writing this from my studio apartment, eating cereal for dinner again, trying to figure out how I became the villain in my own story. Sarah and I had been together since college. 8 years. 8 years of her believing me when I didn't believe in. She was the one who stayed with me during finals, who celebrated when I got my first real job, who held me when my dad died. She was everything good about and I'd away for what? A few months of feeling wanted by someone new. It started so innocently, that's what I keep telling, anyway. Emma joined our marketing team last spring, fresh out of grad school, all bright-eyed and ambitious. She laughed at my jokes during meetings. She asked for my input on projects. She made me feel like I was someone worth listening to. Sarah had been working double shifts at the hospital. We barely saw each other. When we did, she was exhausted, falling asleep during movies, too tired for conversations that went deeper than, "How was day?" I felt invisible in my own relationship. That's my excuse anyway, the pathetic justification I gave. Emma started staying late at the office. So did I. We'd grab dinner, just colleagues talking shop, I told. She'd touch my arm when she laughed. She'd lean in close to look at my laptop screen. All those little moments that feel electric when starving for attention. The first time I should have stopped it. I should have thought about Sarah, asleep at home after another 16-hour shift, trusting me completely. Instead, I her back and told it didn't mean anything. Just one mistake. Just one became regular meetings. Regular meetings became elaborate lies about working late. Working late became hotel rooms and deleted text messages and a double that felt like I was living in someone else's skin. For 3 months, I was living a fantasy. Emma made me feel young again, exciting, like I was the main character in some romantic comedy instead of just another guy going through the motions. She didn't know about my morning breath or my anxiety about money or the way I got grumpy when I was hungry. To her, I was this mysterious, older guy with his together. The worst part, Sarah knew something was wrong. She'd ask if I was okay, if everything was alright between us. She'd try to plan date nights, try to reconnect. And I'd brush her off, tell her I was just stressed about work, make her feel like she was being needy for wanting her own boyfriend to pay attention to her. I remember the exact moment I realized how deep I'd gone. Sarah surprised me at the office with coffee and my favorite sandwich, just because she had a rare afternoon off and wanted to see me. Emma was there, sitting on my desk, laughing at something I'd said. The look on Sarah's face when she put together what she was seeing, it wasn't anger. It was this devastating recognition, like watching someone realize their whole world was built on lies. Emma excused herself quickly. Sarah set the coffee down on my desk without saying a word and walked out. I didn't follow her immediately. I sat there like a coward, hoping maybe she hadn't figured it out, maybe I could still salvage this. When I got home that night, Sarah was sitting at our kitchen table with her laptop open. She'd found everything. The restaurant receipts I'd hidden. The hotel charges on our shared credit card that I'd convinced she wouldn't notice. The text messages I thought I'd deleted but were back to our shared cloud account. She didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She just looked at me with these empty eyes and asked, "How long?" When I told her 3 months, she nodded like she was checking off an item on a list. Then she said, "I kept thinking I was going crazy. All those nights I'd lie awake wondering why I felt so far away. I thought it was me. I thought I wasn't good enough anymore." That broke me more than any screaming match could have. The way she blamed herself for my betrayal. The way she'd spent months questioning her own worth while I was off playing house with someone else. She asked me to leave that night. Just temporarily, she said, while she figured out what she wanted to do. I packed a bag and went to stay with my buddy Mike, telling this was fixable. That we just needed some space to work through this. I tried calling Emma, thinking maybe this was the universe telling us to be together openly. But when I told her that Sarah knew that I'd left, her whole energy changed. Suddenly she was remembering she had career goals that didn't include being known as the woman who broke a long-term relationship. Suddenly our connection felt complicated, and maybe we should take some time to figure things out. Within a week, Emma transferred to our Chicago office. Within 2 weeks, she was posting pictures on social media with some guy from her MBA program. I realized I'd given 8 years of genuine love for 3 months of make-believe. But Sarah wasn't just going to take me back. She filed for divorce papers. We'd gotten engaged 6 months before Emma started at the company. Another detail that makes this whole thing even more. She told her family what happened. She told our friends. She told my mother, who called me crying, asking how she'd raised a son who could do something like this. The worst conversation was with Sarah's little sister, Jess, who I'd known since she was 14. She called me sobbing, asking why at her sister, telling me that Sarah had been talking about having kids with me, that she'd been looking at wedding venues. All the future plans Sarah had been making while I was busy destroying everything we'd built. That's when it really hit me. This wasn't just about losing Sarah. This was about becoming the kind of person who breaks promises, who lies to people who trust them, who throws away love for the temporary thrill of feeling desired by someone new. I tried everything to get her back. Flowers, letters, showing at her work. I made a fool of and probably scared her. She got a restraining order. That's when I knew it was really over, when the woman who'd once felt safest with me in the world felt like she needed legal protection from me. My friends picked sides, and most of them picked Sarah. My family was disappointed. My coworkers started treating me differently after Emma left and people put together what had happened. I became that guy at the office, the one who cheats on his long-term girlfriend with the new hire. I moved into this tiny studio apartment across town. Every morning I wake alone, remember all over again what I did. Every night I go to sleep knowing I chose this. I chose to betray someone who loved me unconditionally for someone who barely knew me at all. The thing about betrayal is that it changes forever. Not just the person betrayed but too. I look in the mirror now and see someone I don't respect. Someone who was capable of living a lie for months, of looking into Sarah's trusting eyes every day while carrying on with someone else. Sarah's doing better now from what I hear through mutual friends. She's dating someone new, a doctor from her hospital who apparently treats her like she deserves to be treated. The way I should have treated her all along. And me, I'm here writing this at 2 a.m., 3 years later, still trying to understand how I became the kind of person who could destroy the best thing in his, because he felt like he deserved more attention. Some mistakes don't get to come back from. Some trust once broken stays broken forever. Some people in ways that can't be undone, no matter how sorry or after. The comments on my last post hit harder than I expected. A lot have asked what happened next, how deep this rabbit hole goes. Some have called me names I probably deserved. A few have said I should just move on and stop wallowing. But here's the thing about consequences, they don't stop coming just because you're tired of dealing with them. It's been 3 years since that night Sarah found out, and I'm still discovering new ways my choices destroyed things I didn't even know mattered. 6 months after Sarah left, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. Was wrong. Rock bottom was still coming. My job performance tanked. How could it not? I was the guy who'd messed around with a coworker, caused drama, made everyone uncomfortable. Emma's transfer looked suspicious to everyone who knew us. AR started asking questions. My boss, who'd been a mentor to me for years, stopped inviting me to important meetings. I got passed over for a promotion I'd been working toward for 2 years. They gave it to Jenkins, a guy who'd been there half as long but hadn't turned the office into his personal dating scene. When I asked my boss about it, he just said they needed someone with better judgment in that role. That's when I realized my reputation wasn't just damaged at home. It was damaged everywhere. Word travels in our industry, and suddenly networking events felt different. Conversations would when I approached. People who used to grab beers with me after conferences started having other plans. I tried dating again about a year after everything fell apart. Downloaded all the apps, told I needed to move forward. But how to explain to someone new why last serious relationship ended? How to say, I cheated on my girlfriend of 8 years. On a second date without looking like exactly the kind of guy no one should trust. I went on maybe 20 first dates that year. 3 second dates. 0 third dates. Either I was too honest too early and scared them off, or I tried to hide it and felt like I was starting every potential relationship with a lie. There's no good way to navigate dating when last relationship ended because untrustworthy. The loneliness was crushing, not just missing Sarah specifically, but missing having someone who knew me. Someone to share jokes with, someone who cared if I had a good day or a bad day. I'd come home to my empty apartment and realize I had no one to tell about the funny thing that happened at work, or the promotion I didn't get, or the weird dream I had. My family tried to be supportive, but there was this distance now. My mom would call and ask how I was doing in this careful voice, like she was talking to a stranger she was worried might break. My dad stopped mentioning Sarah altogether, but I'd catch him looking at me sometimes like he was wondering where he went wrong raising me. The worst was family gatherings. Sarah had been part of our family for 8 years. She knew all my cousins' names, remembered everyone's birthdays, always brought the perfect side dish to every dinner. Now there was this Sarah-shaped hole at every table, and everyone knew it was my fault she was gone. My cousin's wedding was brutal. Sarah and I were supposed to go together. We'd RSVP'd a year in advance, back when we were planning our own wedding. Instead, I showed alone and spent the entire reception watching other couples dance, thinking about how Sarah and I used to be that comfortable together. During the father-daughter dance, I had to step outside. Sarah's dad had been like a second father to me. He taught me how to change my oil, helped me pick out her engagement ring, told me he was proud to have me in the family. Now I was just the guy who'd broken his daughter's heart. I ran into him at a grocery store about 18 months after everything happened. The look on his face when he saw me. It wasn't anger, it was disappointment. He nodded politely and kept walking, but I stood there in the cereal aisle for 10 minutes afterward, remembering how he used to light when he saw me. Work got worse before it got better. I eventually had to leave my company and take a job at a smaller firm for less money. My new coworkers didn't know my history, which was a relief, but starting over professionally in 30s is humbling. I went from being a senior account manager to basically an entry-level position. The new job meant I couldn't afford my apartment anymore. I had to move in with my buddy Mike, sleeping on his couch for 6 months while I tried to get back on my feet financially. Mike was great about it, but I could tell his girlfriend wasn't thrilled about having a permanent houseguest, especially one with my track record. I overheard them talking one night when they thought I was asleep. She was saying she didn't understand how someone could just throw away a good relationship like that, and what if Mike decided to do the same thing to her someday. Mike defended me, said I was going through a rough patch, but I could hear the doubt in his voice too. That's when I realized I hadn't just lost Sarah's trust, I'd lost everyone's trust. People looked at me differently now. If I could betray someone I'd been with for 8 years, what did that say about my character? What did that say about what I was capable of? I started going to therapy around this time. Not because I thought it would help me get Sarah back. I knew that ship had sailed. But because I genuinely didn't understand how I'd become the kind of person who could live a double for months. How I'd looked at Sarah every day, knowing I was betraying her and just continued doing it. Dr. Martinez was patient but direct. She made me confront the truth that I hadn't cheated because my relationship with Sarah was bad. I cheated because I was selfish, because I liked the attention, because I convinced I deserved to have everything I wanted without consequences. The hardest session was when she asked me to describe what I'd lost. Not just Sarah but everything else. I started listing things and couldn't stop. Sarah's family, who'd been my family too. Our friend group, who'd been my support system for years, my reputation at work, my self-respect, my sense of who I was as a person. Didn't just cheat on Sarah, she said, betrayed every person who trusted to be who they thought were. She was right. I let down everyone who believed I was a good guy, a loyal friend, a trustworthy person. I'd proven that when things got a little boring or a little hard, I'd abandon my values for a temporary thrill. Around this time, I heard through the grapevine that Sarah was engaged to David, the doctor from her hospital. They'd been dating for about a year and a half. My first reaction was this weird combination of devastation and relief. Devastation because it meant she truly moved on, that any fantasy I'd held on to about maybe someday reconciling was officially dead. Relief because she was happy again, because someone was treating her the way she deserved. I saw their engagement photos on social media before I had the sense to block her accounts. She looked radiant. Genuinely happy in a way I don't think she'd looked with me in those last few months of our relationship, when I was already checked out and pursuing Emma. David looked like everything I wasn't. Stable, trustworthy, the kind of guy who probably never even thought about cheating, who was grateful every day to be with someone as amazing as Sarah. That night I drank too much and almost sent Sarah a congratulations message. Thank God I passed out before I could hit send. The draft was still there the next morning. I'm happy for her. Deserve all the love in the world. I'm sorry I couldn't be the person needed me to be. I deleted it and blocked her on everything. Not out of anger, but because seeing her happiness was a constant reminder of what I'd thrown away. Some wounds have to stop picking at if ever want them to heal. But here's the thing about consequences, they compound. Every month that passed, every opportunity I missed because of my damaged reputation, every relationship that never started because of my history, it all added. The I could have had with Sarah got further and further away, replaced by this smaller, lonelier existence that I'd chosen through my own actions. I was 34 years old, starting over in every possible way. All because I'd convinced that 8 years of love and commitment wasn't enough. That I deserved more excitement, more attention, more validation than the woman who'd stood by me through everything could provide. The worst part was realizing that Emma had never been about Emma. She could have been anyone new, anyone who made me feel desired and interesting. I destroyed my not for a great love story, but for an ego boost from someone who barely knew me. And Sarah. Sarah was building anew with someone whose gift it was to be loved by her. Someone who would never take that trust for granted. Meanwhile, I was learning that some mistakes don't just change future, they rewrite past, making question every good thing thought knew about. This is the last time I'm writing about this. Not because I found peace or learned to forgive, but because I've finally accepted that some stories don't get happy endings. Some people don't get redemption arcs, some mistakes follow until the day, whispering reminders of who really are when it mattered most. Today marks 3 years exactly since Sarah walked out of our shared, and I'm writing this from the same studio apartment, eating the same sad dinner, living the same isolated existence I've built through my choices. But something happened last week that made me realize the consequences of betrayal never actually stop coming. They just find new ways to destroy whatever small pieces of happiness manage to scrape together. I'd been seeing someone, Rachel. We met at a coffee shop 6 months ago, and for the first time since Sarah, I felt like maybe I could have something real again. Rachel was kind, funny, patient with my obvious damage. She knew about my past, I learned to be upfront about it, and somehow she decided to give me a chance anyway. Things were going well. Not perfect, but good. I was starting to believe that maybe I could be the kind of person someone could trust again. Maybe my betrayal of Sarah was an aberration, a terrible mistake I'd learned from. Maybe I deserved a second chance at happiness. Rachel and I had been talking about moving in together. Nothing dramatic, just the natural progression of a relationship that was working. I was actually excited about the future for the first time in 3 years. Then Sarah's wedding invitation arrived. Not to me, obviously. It came to my old address, the apartment Sarah and I had shared, and my former neighbor forwarded it thinking it was for me. One of those mass mailings where they invite everyone they've ever known. Sarah probably didn't even realize I'd be on the list. The invitation was beautiful. Elegant cream cardstock with gold lettering. Sarah Michelle Brennan and David James Chen request the pleasure of company. The date was set for this coming fall. The same month Sarah and I had planned to get married, back when we were still planning a future together. I should have thrown it away. Should have just tossed it in the trash and never mentioned it to Rachel. Instead, I made the mistake of showing it to her that night, thinking maybe she'd understand why I was feeling weird about it. Rachel took one look at the invitation and something in her face changed. Not jealousy exactly, but a kind of recognition, like she was seeing something clearly for the first time. Still love her, she said. It wasn't a question. I tried to deny it, but the words felt hollow even as I said them, because the truth was, seeing that invitation, seeing Sarah's name next to someone else's, it felt like being gutted all over again. 3 years later, and the loss still felt fresh. It's not about still loving her, I said. It's about regretting what I did. That's different. But Rachel shook her head. No, it's not. Or not mourning mistake, or mourning losing her, there's a difference. She was right and we both knew it. Every therapy session, every night I'd spent analyzing what went wrong, every moment of self-reflection, none of it was about becoming a better person. It was all about wishing I could go back and be the person Sarah deserved instead of the person I was. Rachel left that night. She didn't make a big scene, didn't yell or cry. She just packed her overnight bag and said, I can't compete with a ghost and I shouldn't have to. That was a week ago. I've texted her a few times, tried to explain that it's not about choosing Sarah over her, that Sarah isn't even an option. But Rachel's not responding, and honestly, I don't blame her. Why would anyone want to build a relationship with someone who's still emotionally attached to the person they betrayed? So now I'm back where I started. Alone, angry at realizing that even when I try to move forward, I'm still trapped by what I did 3 years ago. I've been thinking a lot about that wedding invitation. About the Sarah's building with David, the future they're planning together. The trust they share that I'll never understand how to earn from anyone again. I looked David online after Rachel left. I know it's pathetic, but I needed to see what Sarah chose instead of me. His social media is full of pictures of them hiking, traveling, laughing together. In every photo Sarah looks genuinely happy. Not the performance of happiness I remember from our last months together, but real joy. David posts about her the way I should have appreciated her when I had her. Little things. Proud of this amazing woman for finishing her first marathon. Sarah made my favorite dinner just because it was a rough day at work. 3 years together and she still makes me laugh every day. 3 years. They've been together as long as it's been since I destroyed everything. While I've been stuck in this apartment drowning in regret, Sarah rebuilt her entire with someone who sees her worth. The comments on David's posts, me, Sarah's friends, her family, all these people who used to be part of my celebrating her happiness, her sister Jess, who I used to give piggyback rides to, commenting heart emojis and love guys, her parents who used to invite me to Sunday dinner, sharing photos from their engagement party. I wasn't just erased from Sarah's, I was erased from the entire world we'd built together, replaced by someone better in every possible way. That's when it really hit me. This isn't just about losing Sarah. It's about proving that I'm the kind of person who will always choose the wrong thing when it matters most. Rachel was right to leave. Any woman who gets involved with me is signing to compete with the memory of someone I destroyed my over. I called my therapist yesterday. First time in months. Told her about Rachel, about the wedding invitation. About this realization that I'm stuck in a loop of my own making. Been treating guilt like it's evidence that changed, she said. But guilt without action is just self-pity. What I've actually done to become different? I couldn't answer her. Because the truth is, I haven't changed. I've just gotten better at feeling sorry for. I still think about what I want, what I've lost, what I deserve. I still make everything about me, even my own remorse. 3 years of therapy, and I'm still the same selfish person who thought he deserved more than what he had. The same person who could look at 8 years of love and decide it wasn't enough entertainment. Sarah's wedding is in 6 months. She'll walk down the aisle toward someone who has never betrayed her, never lied to her, never made her question her own worth. She'll promise to love and honor someone who understood from day one that being loved by her was a privilege, not a given. And I'll be here, in this apartment, with the TV too loud and the takeout containers piling, living proof that some people don't deserve second chances because they just waste those too. I keep thinking about that metaphor from the title I saw somewhere, carrying someone's books, hoping they'd notice, only to realize they were thanking someone else while stood there with empty hands and a heavier heart. Except in my version I was holding her books. For 8 years Sarah trusted me with everything that mattered to her. Her heart, her future, her faith in love itself. And when she turned around to thank the person who'd been supporting her all along, I'd already dropped everything and walked away. Now she's thanking David, who was smart enough to keep holding on. And I'm standing here with empty hands, watching that I away become the she deserved all along. The hardest part isn't that I lost her. The hardest part is that losing her was the most honest thing I ever did, because it proved I was never worthy of having her in the first place. Some people are meant to be loved, and some people are meant to teach others what love isn't. I know which one I am now.